as we mentioned, you joining our stage from both Amicus Therapeutics and your incoming role at Bio. What lessons have you learned today and then in decades of experience in the biomarker qualification space? And what would you identify as challenges that we still need to overcome?
Yeah, Susan, it's interesting when you listen to the discussion today and you see the data on what's happened now in MPS and with the cerebral spinal fluid and HS as a marker. I think it's overwhelmingly clear with these products in this disease, with this biomarker, it is reasonably likely to predict clinical benefit and should be, as we've discussed, subject to the accelerated approval pathway. It's interesting, when you look at the accelerated approval pathway itself, the legislation is very clear and is very unique that they put an adjective and an adverb in there, reasonably likely, and papers have been written about it. What does that actually mean? It's somewhere over 50%. That it's reasonably likely. And it also means we're going to make mistakes, and it may not necessarily be the ultimate drug. It oftentimes is not going to be. But it's going to be a very important tool in the arsenal, as we see in MPS 3, in a disease where you've seen nothing but suffering for generations, for as long as we've known in medicine. So I think that's very important in this disease, but it raises a bigger issue, and that's where are we in rare disease drug development broadly? We've come a long way. We've come a long way since the Orphan Drug Act, but we've got a long, long way to go. And I think we're finally at this inflection point where we have so many now of the tools of science to offer hope, hope tempered with reality of the challenges of drug development. And now the challenge is, how do we make sure that we're achieving the gold standard of science, of safety and efficacy, grounded in key science? And to do that, we've got so many of these challenges. Biomarkers are one tool that the regulators have, that we as drug developers, that experts have in determining safety and efficacy. It may take a lot of work to use it as a biomarker, as we've seen with the MPS disorders now. But also it can be helpful in determining dose or biologic activity. It's a tool, and it can be a regulatory tool. But we're at this inflection point, and frankly, I think it's a crisis in the world of rare diseases, and we've seen this now, where so many programs have been delayed or stopped, or threatened to be delayed or stopped. And not because the science just doesn't work, sometimes that's the case, but the whole ecosystem isn't working the way it needs to for this next generation of therapies.